I'm here sitting with my dad, Cornelius Mason. He was born in August 13, 1917. And I know that this coming Wednesday is the anniversary of the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington. And Dad and I were talking this morning about it. He was sharing some thoughts on what things were like here in the United States 50 years ago. So, Dad, what was it like 50 years ago?
Well, it was, you could see the hatred. People didn't sit down and correspond. So, like meeting a person and saying hello and saying hello. The two races were far from that. There's been a tremendous change.
What was it like? You were telling me earlier, what was it like going to the bathroom in a public place?
Yeah, you had to go in the back, or they had a separate place. During my times, in a lot of places said nigger. I said, I don't know where they got that from, but that's what they called us, niggers. And the sign said niggers this way. They had a hand with a finger on it, pointing.
And that's where you had to go?
Yes. You go into a white restaurant and you didn't have a seat. You couldn't sit down. You had to get whatever you wanted over the counter if they served you.
If they served you?
Yes.
Did you ever experience that when you went in somewhere and they didn't serve you?
Oh yes. Oh yes. If you wanted to take your girlfriend to the movie show, you had to go in Baltimore, in Cumberland, Maryland. I was there during the 50s, and you had to go upstairs. From the outside, they had a stairway upstairs and it said black.
When did it change from niggers to blacks?
Well, sometime in between.
After the march?
Sometime in between after the march. Yes. Yes, tension eased. After the march, tension eased. There was a tension in the country. You could feel it. I was never involved in no demonstration or nothing like that. I wasn't. But
why did you choose not to be, Dad?
Well, I was brought up in school to be a good citizen. And it was those kind of things that it talks about being a good citizen. You treat people didn't say good morning, black and white.
What are you thinking about?
Yeah, when they were forming the march, and that bus was coming through, you had to already be tested whether you could get on it or not. They could tell from your attitude. They ask you different questions, and they could tell from your attitude where you could get, whether it's going to let you on the bus or not.
So when they were gathering people for the march, what kind of people were they looking for to go?
Well, they were looking for people that were cheerful and people that spoke the right language. Yes, agreeable. You had to be agreeable.
So did you have some problems in that area?
Yeah.
I know you were telling me one time, you said somebody spit on you one time, you said you spit back on them, huh?
Yeah.
So you didn't fit into that group of people that could go. You didn't have that kind of tolerance back then?
No. What was that little man's name from Massachusetts? The little black man?
From Massachusetts.
Yeah, he's on there now.
Oh, the one with the hair?
Yeah, he's a senator.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I can't take his name right now, but why, what about him? You were more like him?
Yes. When I thought of him, some people can change you, some people can put on a good face. I couldn't put on a good face.
It was what it was with Cornelius, huh?
Yeah.
What about that day? What was going on when you got spit on? Tell me about that. Tell that story.
Yeah, I just happened to be in the crowd of some white people, and I guess I was talking too much. So, a young kid, I had several white people refer to me as being a smart nigger.
That's what they referred to you as?
Yeah, as a smart. Oh, don't pay him any attention. That's one of them smart niggas. Yes, I laugh.
But tell me about it. What made him spit on you? What happened?
Just trying to be. I was pop. How am I saying it?
You were popular?
He could tell I was in earnest about wanting to go. Yeah. And I was a person that's, I let my nay be nay and my no be no. I didn't hang around the bush. I tried to tell everything. I tried to tell it like it was.
You said something that they didn't like and they spit on you? What'd you say? Do you remember? Can you remember what it was?
Not being hesitant, but being said he's too good. I was I wasn't hateful. I just said what I said.
So you said something and they didn't like it.
Yes.
And then they spit on you.
Mm-hmm.
And what was your reaction?
Yes.
You said you spit back on them?
Spit back on them.
And then what happened?
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of pushing and shoving, and like we was going to fight, but we didn't fight.
Yeah, you're not a big guy. Mm-hmm. You're a small guy, but you must have.
But I was a fiery little fella
Oh, okay.
in them days.
In them days?
Yes.
So even though you were small in
When
body,
kid,
you were small in body, but you had a big fiery personality, huh?
yes. Yes, and you know, I found out, my granddaddy told me, said, he bleeds just like you. If you punch him in the nose and make his nose bleed, he'll let you alone. And I did that. I tried to do it. I said, if one punched me, if I got punched, I punched back.
So it seems to me like you had a little bit of a problem with the nonviolent movement. That's why you didn't get to go on the bus.
Yes,
They interviewed you and you weren't tolerable enough, huh? What about now? What's different now? I mean, if you being the man of God you are now, if when you look back, you think you could, like, if it were to happen today, you would respond differently. Like, how do you?
Yes, I would respond.
How do you deal with that kind of stuff today? Because racism still happens today sometimes.
Yes, yes. Well, I turned the other cheek. I found out God teaches you to love everyone. He said he still, what is spoken out of the mouth doesn't make him not be your brother. He's still your brother.
So even when people say mean things, now you can turn the other cheek.
I can turn the other cheek.
What do you say to, now Wednesday will be the 50th anniversary of the march, and there's a lot of young people today that are, you know, they're angry and they're killing each other in our community.
Yes.
What do you say to them now, all this time for where we are now? What could you say to the young people today?
Well, I have to tell them to hold their peace. To hold their peace. These little young people today are ready to go to the fire, and they're ready to go to the firing lines with things that can be solved through understanding.
Okay.
But you know, when you get heated up, it's a sin. Yes, it's a sin.
You see that now.
Yes. I didn't see that back there then.
I think it's really interesting because a lot of times, like now in the media, what we always see is the tolerable African American. I think you're one of the only people that I know of that, you know, would be honest about the fact that you weren't like that back then. You know, you were a different person and you didn't do that, but you know, it's good to be honest about it, but now we can say that it's good that you're changed.
You know, it's surprising when these little things happen. Now, like that, going into a restaurant and sitting down to get waited on, and you've never been in that restaurant, and the waitress keep on misleading you, and then finally the word, she said, we can't serve you. It takes a cold-hearted person to say to you, I can't serve you.
And that hurt. You couldn't deal with it back then.
Yes, that hurts. That goes right to the heart.
And back then you didn't deal with it well.
I can deal with it now. Yes. And, you know, people, there was a lot of people that just, they were willing to put their self on the line to show the world what was happening. A lot of times the restaurants try to hide it.
People like Dr. King, you
Yeah.
know, because he ended up dying for the cause.
Yes, he ended up dying for it.
Many others like him too, right?
Yes. Yes, a lot of them, they don't have the sign. Now they put a little sign up in the corner of the window if they don't serve you. Blacks. Say on there, we don't serve blacks. Back there then, they didn't put nothing in the window. They told you to your face when you come in.
Did you hear about what happened to somebody like Oprah Winfrey just recently? You heard the story? I think we were talking about it. She's very famous, and she went in a store and she wanted the lady to show her a purse. The lady wouldn't show her the purse. She told her, "You can't afford that purse. I'm not going to show that purse to you." Mm-hmm. That's discrimination. It's a different kind of discrimination, but it's still discrimination. You know, it still happens today. It's subtle.
Yes, it does.
In different ways. I know a lot of times, like we go to restaurants a lot. I know a lot of times when we go in places, I can tell a lot of times that you're a bit surprised at how we're treated so nicely because you're not used to that, right? Back when you were going to restaurants, it wasn't that nice.
No. People now they know how to get around the mean part of it, the meaningness of it. They be smiling and telling you no. You can't sit in here. Yes.
All right. Well, it was a great interview. Thank you. Any last words you want to say about the march? Anything?
Well, God has made a difference. I found out that I had to save. I had a soul to save. In my journey with Jesus Christ, I found out that I had to change. And I have changed. I changed my way of thinking, changed my way of doing things to coincide with the world, to get along with the world.
How old were you when that change happened? You're 96 today. How old were you when you made that change?
I think I was in my 50s. It can be done. A lot of people say it can't be done, but it can be done. It depends on the person. It depends on you. God has already given you the tools. He's already given you the tools. And what you have to do, you have to work with them. Change your way of living. You change your way of thinking. And I found out that you have to do a lot of asking. The word said, ask and you shall receive.
That's what you did? You asked the Lord?
Yes, and knock. Ask, seek, and knock.
Yeah, it's definitely true.
And here I am, the finished product.
Here you are.
Yes.
You are a good finished product. You are. God is so good. He's been so good to you.
Yes, He has. I couldn't have did it without Him. Without His help, I couldn't. I wouldn't have made it. And He's just a step away. All you have to do is ask. All you have to do is ask.
Wow. Well, thanks. Thanks. Have a blessed day.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Say goodbye to the camera. Say goodbye.
Goodbye.